For a generation of English-speaking audiences, there is one name that is absolutely synonymous with anime: Toonami. In today's world, anime is around every corner. I recently had an interview with Funimation where we talked about My Hero Academia's movie becoming the first anime film with a red carpet showing, but in the 90s, that dream was just that. A dream. While just being a simple time block of shows and not even the first of its kind, Toonami managed to bring anime to the front lines of entertainment in the West and forged the path for those of us here today. It's a unifying force from the past that has inevitably brought us together right here, right now. So without further ado, my name's Mike, and let's get into the history, the significance, and the legacy of Toonami. Got a quick note before we begin: we won our battle with Toei Animation and our One Piece video is back up, so go watch that after this one if you haven't yet. You're gonna love it. Anyway, it is our 1-year anniversary on YouTube here at Bonsai Pop, and this video is a long time coming, so we decided now would be the best time to cover Toonami, a topic I've wanted to breach since day one, so let's go back in time just real quick. For a long time, and you could say even still today, America and Japan have had a strange relationship. Our conflict in World War II left a bitter taste in the mouths of Americans, and unfortunately because of that, Japan and products from Japan were looked down upon as being inferior. Meanwhile, the island nation was repairing itself and continuing to modernize at an extreme rate. In 100 years, Japan went from the Middle Ages to a competitive first world country that takes power, dedication, and a special kind of society. By the 1980s, Japan had truly hit a golden epoch where entertainment and industry began to reach a balance and Japanese content began to truly overflow into the rest of the world. We had previously brought Japanese shows to America before, like Speed Racer, Astro Boy, and Gatchaman, but they were essentially rewritten and chopped to pieces to work for Americans. But with undeniably great films like Akira and the Ghibli movies coming forth, there was little that could be done to stop the inevitable penetration of Japanese culture in the West. In the early 1990s, the Sci-Fi Channel began showing anime films late at night because of the violent and schmexy subject material as well as an awful time slot. This venture into what was then known as Japanimation reached an extremely small audience. But for those who were there, it introduced people to many things we've covered like Ninja Scroll, Akira, Vampire Hunter D, and Galaxy Express 999, as well as things we're covering in the future like Blackjack, Ghost in the Shell, Demon City Shinjuku, and X. If you watched our video on how Sailor Moon changed the world, you'd know I caught my first anime on the Massachusetts local channel UPN 38 at 4 AM. But then Toonami came around and changed everything. Sean Akins and Jason DeMarco were pioneer anime fans brought up on Speed Racer and Astro Boy. These guys continued to develop their appreciation for Japanimation into adulthood. It's said that they would buy unsubbed anime tapes from a local Atlanta Japanese market just to watch the animation in the early 90s. When Cartoon Network's afternoon action block fell in their hands, this love for Eastern entertainment drove them to create Toonami. It was Akins and DeMarco's plan to bring anime to the Western world. Ironically though, in Toonami's first year, the only Japanese animation that appeared was Voltron. But it too was the American version, dubbed and censored for kids. It wasn't until 1998 when the 1-2 punch of Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z arrived on the block that things took a major turn. With Toonami's 80s sci-fi meets late 90s hip-hop vibe, along with their host Moltar from Space Ghost, and now 2 massive hit shows for 2 different demographics, Toonami was on the map, particularly thanks to Dragon Ball Z. The fact that this content was on in the afternoons meant it was easily accessible to any kid coming home from school, and it was action like nobody in America had really seen before. Dragon Ball Z is without a doubt intense, and this intensity kept the kids, including myself, glued to the TV every afternoon. Not only that, but these cartoons were serialized, meaning there was an ongoing story you would miss out on if you skipped an episode. That kind of viewing experience is expected now, but back then most cartoons were episodic one-shot adventures each episode. Think SpongeBob versus One Piece. Even today, I still marvel at the convenience of streaming, being able to binge entire series at your leisure. When I was a kid, DBZ was on at 7 PM, which was when my parents always wanted to have dinner. and I don't think the rift that caused has ever healed. Dragon Ball Z was essentially crack for kids. However, at the time, there was only 50 or so episodes edited and dubbed. To offset this, Toonami eventually added in the first 3 movies, Tree of Might, Dead Zone, and World's Strongest, the first of the 3 being edited down, but the latter 2 were uncut, showing a new level of ferocity and explicit material most of us were unaware we were missing at the time. These movies were also plugged by the trailer man himself, Don LaFontaine.
His name is Goku.
Bringing a new level of respect and legitimacy to anime in America. In 1999, Moltar took a step back and we were introduced finally to Tom, a little robot whose name stood for Toonami Operations Module. He was originally voiced by Sonny Strait, famous for his role as Krillin in Dragon Ball Z, but it was truly the year 2000 when anime finally took root in the pop culture of the United States. Sailor Moon Does Goku Gentai was at an all-time high, and Toonami's midnight run began airing on Saturdays. The extra long block featured far less watered-down versions of the shows we had come to love and added in new ones as well. They even featured a block of animated music videos which introduced me to the Gorillaz and one of my all-time favorites, Daft Punk, whose album Discovery was also released as a compendium of anime music videos known as Interstella 5555. We also saw the rise of Tom's AI counterpart Sarah and the destruction of Tom 1, as well as the rise of Tom 2, now voiced by the prolific Steve Bloom of Cowboy Bebop fame. Tom was cool, his voice was smooth, and he was a chill robot in a dope spaceship that showed awesome shows. And now, he was even smoother. 2000 also saw the release of another Gatchaman series, G-Force, as well as Gundam Wing, a bunch of Tenchi Muyo, and Blue Submarine No. 6. It was also at this time that Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime himself, became the Toonami trailer narrator. Until 2008, many classics would become keynote shows on Toonami, including Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball, Outlaw Star, Card Captors, G Gundam, Dot Hack, One Piece, even Zoids and Hamtaro. You were cool if you could watch the midnight run on Saturdays and see the blood and violence most kids miss throughout the week. For me personally, Yu Hakusho in particular was a revolution. But it's important to take a look at what that means because the terrain has changed drastically in the past 20 years. No longer do we depend on cable for entertainment, and eventually it will die out entirely. However, for 50 years, cable companies were in control of curation for its viewers, meaning that what these companies wanted you to see is what you saw. What you went out and searched for after that was generally based off of what was introduced to you by the curators of these cable channels. What we got with Toonami was a specially curated block created by fans and produced with passion for an art form. Basically, Toonami was special, a for us by us kind of deal made with real passion by people who understood and respected the art form. It was presented in a way that allowed viewers to understand that anime is a form of entertainment, not a genre, and that within itself there were many genres to explore. It was a stable and trustworthy ground to stand on while viewers curated their own tastes through its many and varied programs. Today, anime is easier to find than ever and cable is dying out, so naturally there's new places to find new shows, communities online to meet people who share your interests, but with these changes come new problems as well. One could argue that there's simply too much out there to keep up with and too much out there being hyped by publication companies, which is obscuring hidden gems you've either missed or are currently missing because all Funimation and Crunchyroll seem to want you to watch is My Hero Academia, which I love, but it is not the end-all be-all, and I think we can agree on that. And while I know people who work on these platforms and trust in their love for anime, we have to remind ourselves that there is still a corporate aspect to what they do, things they're allowed or not allowed to talk about, which is where I suppose something like Bonsai Pop comes in. I love Japanese entertainment, but more importantly, I respect it, and I respect other people who love Japanese entertainment as well. I also have no monetary stake in what I cover and wouldn't cover something I don't like for money. Even Astra Lost in Space, all I wanted to do was kick that show in the nuts. But over this past year, we've worked to create a trust with you all and to curate our own list of shows and movies that we're excited about. It's been a thrill seeing hype for Kenshin and Yu Hakusho and even really weird obscure things like Wicked City. I feel privileged and proud to introduce new anime to people or to revel in nostalgia and joy with those who were already introduced to our topics like I was. Without Toonami, we wouldn't be here, and honestly our goal is very much the same as Jason DeMarco and Sean Akins, to celebrate and respect an art form that we love and to curate a list of our favorites to share with you. However, because we're independent, we're allowed to create that list how we want to by talking about history or culture, sociology or ethics, and while we curate our list of anime and characters, we also have the opportunity to curate a like-minded audience. We've always stood behind the foundation of respect for not only our content, but our audience as well. You guys are smart, and we know that, so we treat you like you're smart while still being able to enjoy the tradition of Saturday morning cartoons as adults, because it is okay to indulge in what makes you happy. It's because I was raised on Toonami, and without it, I probably wouldn't be who I am now. It even introduced me to a lot of video games that are now staples of my collection. In the early 2000s, Toonami was a great place to see video game commercials, specially made by Tom himself. Final Fantasy 9, 10, Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin. I was introduced to all of these by Steve Bloom as Tom. Because even back then, they knew video games and anime go hand in hand. Toonami really understood something over a decade before it hit the mainstream and the red carpet. There's a reason it was a flagship that brought anime to legitimacy here in the West, and I'll forever be grateful for it. And side note, I'd love to be able to fuse video games and anime together in the future here, particularly anime-inspired games, in a series I was thinking called something like Blank is just good anime, like Final Fantasy VII is just good anime. Anyway, it's just a thought. Regardless, my hope is that we can continue to build this bond of trust with you guys, that we can talk about great anime from way back in the 70s like Devilman, all the way up to the newest releases like Dr. Stone or ID Invaded, and everything in between. And most importantly, that you'll show up to hang out with us and enjoy this medium that has continued to grow and grow thanks to the efforts of our predecessors in anime entertainment. Year 2 on Bonsai Pop is going to be bigger and better, and I can guarantee we'll eventually cover every anime that has ever aired on Toonami and so much more. So if you're into that, stick around, the button is right down there for you. Check your sub boxes on Saturday mornings because we'll be waiting for you there. Follow us on Twitter @_Bonsai Pop. Talk with us, send us your questions, tell us about your favorite anime. Talking to you is why we do this. Come visit me at cons. I'll be at Anime Boston in just a month. Spread the word, and if you want to join the team and keep the channel alive, join us on Patreon. Our friends over there are the best and have helped form Bonsai Pop into what it is. And hey, you made it this far into the video, so you get to see the face. I'm supposed to be on vacation, so naturally last week I recorded a video and then walked 25 miles at PAX, and then this week I wrote and recorded a video, obviously all voluntarily, but is what it is. Next week I'll be back full time. I'll have my hair combed and the room cleaned up, but right now I don't give a mother fudge, so neither should you. But before I go, we gotta thank our very special Ultimate Lucky Patron of the week, and that is Ching Chong Ping Pong. Thank you so much, my dude, for helping us out and being there for the channel, being part of the team. You flippin' rock, man. And obviously we have to thank one of our Super Saiyan gods, so it's Daskurubus. Thank you so much, my dude, for being one of our top patrons. You've been here since the beginning, and you're a core part of the community, so thank you yet again so much for helping support us. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. Next week, we got a new video, new show. Let us know below what you want to see. Until then, my name's Mike. I'm not wearing pants. This is Bonsai Pop, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.